This morning, Wednesday, April 1st, the State Department of Health has reported that COVID-19 cases in Miami-Dade County have surpassed 2,200, and 16 residents in our county have succumbed to this virus. All projections suggest that this will get much worse before it gets better, but we can lessen the spread of the virus and its impact if we carefully follow all the directions and advice we are receiving, including the most important one. Please stay at home other than to attend to truly essential obligations and to exercise. Just stay at home. Now, on Sunday morning, I, along with our manager, Jimmy Morales, and his team, met with representatives from the Army Corps of Engineers to tour our convention center as a potential site for a temporary medical center. I think it is very possible that the Corps will be erecting a facility inside our center to handle overflow or surge of patients. Now, with regard to testing, a few things. First, by Thursday, a drive-through testing site on Collins Avenue in Mid-Beach will open. It will follow CDC guidelines for testing and will only attend to residents and others with prior appointments. The costs will be covered by insurance or the center. Also, tomorrow, the University of Miami will begin random testing of hundreds or more of our residents as part of a study to examine the movements of the virus and its presence in the overall population. Although this will be happening, it is not available to the public, only to those chosen randomly from the general population. This study should help us assess how best to fight the spread of the virus. Now, as of yesterday, all pools, gyms, and other amenity areas in residential condominiums and rental buildings must be closed by order of the county mayor. All buildings must comply with this mandate. Also, by order of the governor, if you have entered our community from New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, or New Orleans in the last 2 weeks, you are obliged to quarantine yourself for 14 days upon arrival. Now, if you are quarantined and you need some help, please call, and if the city can provide you assistance, we certainly will. But we will also be checking up on the recent arrivals who were screened at the airport to see how we can help them abide by this important order of quarantine. Yesterday, our city manager, Jimmy Morales, entered an order directing all essential businesses, but most importantly, our groceries and pharmacies, to abide by various directives, including a mandate to reduce occupancy by 50% at all times, to provide sanitizers as available, and to ensure that physical distancing is happening. Our city code officers will be issuing warnings to businesses that fail to comply. But it's also up to you, our residents, to make sure you're not putting yourself or your loved ones in peril. Much like being a defensive driver, you need to have a situational awareness of when circumstances are unsafe. Now, obviously, many in our community are threatened not just by this virus, but also by the resulting economic dislocation and insecurity. In order to help our neighbors and workers in our businesses, our manager has reprogrammed a team of city personnel to help those facing unemployment access the resources available to them. Our team of nearly 24 employees have completed their training, and this week will begin helping those in need access unemployment benefits. Additionally, the city will be hosting on Thursday afternoon a webinar with representatives from the Small Business Administration and the banking industry to discuss the newly passed stimulus package. Hosting with the city will be Senator Marco Rubio. Senator Rubio called me last week to let me know that he believed this bill, which he helped author, could provide vital temporary relief to workers who would otherwise be laid off. Included in the measure, known as the Paycheck Protection Program, is a program that allows businesses with less than 500 employees to obtain a loan equal to 250% of a month's payroll. If the business spends the loan on their payroll, the loan is forgiven. Yes, the loan is forgiven. Most small businesses, including many nonprofits, are eligible. Senator Rubio believed this measure was especially equipped to provide needed relief to workers in our hospitality industry, which is one of the reasons we have organized this webinar on Thursday. Any business of less than 500 workers should definitely join in, as this and other very helpful information for you and your employees will be reviewed. I receive throughout the day emails, texts, and calls from residents with opinions about the measures we are implementing. It feels a little bit like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Some think the porridge is too cold, some think it's too hot, and others think it's just right. Most are polite even when they disagree. Some are not, but I recognize that this is a time of heightened anxiety. But many want to know the basis for our actions, so let me try to explain. Much of what we are doing is without precedent. There is no playbook for this. But I do believe it is up to us to act and not simply react, which is why we were the first city in Florida to close beaches and the first to direct our residents to stay at home. We have to get ahead of this and not simply take measures that may end up being too little too late. I also recognize that you can find on the internet innumerable ideas and opinions that argue against our actions or for other approaches, often from thoughtful voices or just bloggers with an audience. So here's the deal. This is a healthcare crisis. Even though it will have a serious economic consequence, it is first and foremost about keeping people alive. And while there may be some other opinions, the healthcare community is entirely unanimous that we need to stay at home and take measures that we have implemented to reduce the spread of this killer virus. So while I appreciate the diversity of opinion in the world, we, our commission, and city manager will side with experts in the field of this crisis we face. We need only to look to New York to see the horror that we must work to prevent. So we will follow their advice and thank them for putting themselves at tremendous risk to help keep us safe. So thanks for your common patience. Stay healthy and at home.